And we're back with Mark Foley. We're in a really interesting conversation here with Mark. Quite frankly, what I'm really interested in, what was Congress like? What was it like working on the Hill from being a young congressman all the way up, sitting on the House Ways and Means Committee, being part of the most powerful nation in the world? I mean, it must have been incredible.
It's amazing to come from a small town like Lake Worth and look at your opportunities to represent people here. I represented over 1 million people. But to take that voice of small business to Washington and explain to people about what it's like to make a payroll. Regrettably, a lot of my colleagues don't know. They've been staffers, they've worked in the bowels of governmental enterprises, they've been successful politically and have ultimately gotten elected to office. But they don't know what it's like to whittle together a 1040, a financial statement. They don't borrow banks.
You hear that all the time, that the government's out of touch.
They are out of touch. They are out of touch. Why doesn't the SEC rattle the cage of Bernie Madoff? I bet because some of those SEC enforcers were hoping to someday land a plum job.
It's kind of a strong statement.
In New York. It's a strong statement because it's true. No one wants to rock the boat. That's why term limits would be helpful. People run along and decide in 8 or 10 years of their political careers, don't rock the boat. Let's just keep everything nice and sweet because I want to get my retirement. Well, with that kind of attitude, the country falls apart because everyone's either playing it too safe or not innovating, creating opportunity. But my point more to the government is the fact that we are not doing the job of regulating entities. We're merely putting people through a ringer. We're making you pay big money to file financial reports. But at the end of the day, the filing of a report, if it's fictitiously made, will not solve the problem of are you investing in a good company.
Policies, and procedures. And it seems like overkill going from some of the CIA waterboarding issues post 9/11, overkill. Now we're like going to the other side. It was too much, too far.
No
question. The same thing with government, the same thing with regulation, the same thing with finance, whether it's the mortgage industry or the banking industry. How do we find that happy medium to be able to just, conduct great business and make everybody happy, and the people that are the wrongdoers be able to find them immediately and rid them of, get them out of the system?
Well, the Sarbanes-Oxley was developed as a result of Enron. And America was frightened and brought almost to its knees on one energy trading company. True. And we were trying to find ways to ensure that the financial reporting statements of companies like Enron were in fact transparent and fundamentally believable. But it was more of a knee-jerk reaction because the communities in Texas that had suffered huge loss of payroll dollars, huge investments were evaporated overnight. Remember, Abby Joseph Cohen of Goldman Sachs was touting Enron a week before its collapse, saying at $90 a share it was going higher. And then the next week we have an absolute meltdown of that industry. So what does Congress do? Hold hearings, summon people up to flog and beat them on the committee, make a public relations spectacle so that people can see us doing our job, take staff-driven memos to suggest this is the framework of legislation, and we pass it on the floor immediately so we can protect ourselves politically. Did that solve a problem? No. It created a further problem. Did it protect us politically? Absolutely yes. Did we engage small-town investors, community investors, companies that participate in Value Rich for insight as to whether we were over-regulating potentially the freedom and fairness of the marketplace? No, we didn't.
Mark, I think you have insight that few people have. What's up next for Mark Foley?
Well, obviously I love serving. I did love serving in Congress.
You miss it?
Well, I miss it, no question. It's like a baseball player, golf, or any of the other things you do. When you get your rhythm and you have your game down and you think you're playing at your capacity and potential and it's swept away, you look at it and say, wow, what do I do now? Fortunately, there's great opportunities. Distressed real estate I'm investing in, participating, working on that, assembling some banking operations and opportunities. I've been through this a movie before, back in the late 80s when we had the collapse of big charters like Southeast Bank here in Miami and First American Bank, where the federal government would basically give you a charter and a bank and say, we'll take away your bad loans, we'll give you a new, good, solid little bank operation. We're looking at those opportunities. And that really brings me back to what you're trying to do with the small micro-cap companies. Why can't the government, if we're able to take a bank, a franchise that's a valuable commodity, and hand it to a new investor and say, we've cleaned out all your bad losses and we're going to let you start up from scratch?
A lot more with Mark Foley when we come back.